Week 6 of this NFL season, and time for another edition of Cowboys Insider from inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios here at the Star in Frisco, Texas. I'm Bill Jones, along with Nate Newton, Rick Gosselin, and Daryl Johnston. As this week the Cowboys take on the Jacksonville Jaguars at AT&T Stadium. It's a 3:25 kickoff. Number 1 ranked defense in the league, coming off a game on Sunday night in Houston against the Texans. They went to overtime, the Cowboys falling 19-16. We break down these Jaguars as we go along here and break down what's right and wrong with the Cowboys over the next half hour. Let's kick it off with Daryl with some opening comments.
Some of the same struggles that they've had during the course of the season. So, again, somebody needs to step up on the outside. I believed in the wide receiver by committee, thinking that at some point one of the guys would kind of rise up to the top and maybe not be a true number one, but he'd be your go-to guy. And that's just not happening right now in the early part of the season.
You didn't play during the preseason. You had 4 games here to get it right. You didn't get it right. We have no playmakers on offense. Zeke is special, but he needs help.
And now you got the NFL's best defense coming to town, and that defense was embarrassed by Kansas City last week. I think they're going to want to prove that they're the best defense in football again this Sunday.
A rather brash defense to begin with, and they've got some extra motivation this week to prove some things. Again, we'll talk Jacksonville in a little bit. You mentioned Zeke, Nate, and when you look at what the Texans were able to do defensively against the Cowboys, they took away that run game a little bit. Zeke with 20 carries for 54 yards. Daryl, what problems did you see?
They just controlled the front. The line of scrimmage was owned by the Houston Texans. And this is dangerous now, because when you don't have a threat in the secondary, you're going to have more guys creeping into that box. It's just going to get harder and harder for Dallas to be able to follow that MO that they've always done running the football. You know,
the offensive line, I think that Looney got banged up a little bit. That's going to hurt. They tried to go up the middle. I think you have a stat where they tried to go up the middle on first down, man, and had 1 or less yards, 13 times?
Well, they had 13 carries that netted 0 yards in the game.
You can't have that. When you're built to run and you can't get 1.5 yards, or you don't believe that you can run at the end of the game to try to win it, that's sad.
It's going to be more of the same this week. Look at this Jacksonville front. Marcel Darius, who was a high draft pick, Malik Jackson, big money free agent, Calais Campbell. I mean, this is a big body unit, and you're going to see Zeke's going to see a whole lot more of these fronts just keying on him, because there are only 2 playmakers in this offense, Elliott and Austin. And Austin had a ball off his hands for an interception last week. He dropped a touchdown pass 2 weeks ago, so it's going to be all on Elliott.
Maybe down to 1.
And when you look at those 13 carries for 0 yards, the 10 worst carries went for -6 yards. I think that played a huge factor in Jason Garrett's decision to punt on 4th and 1.5 yards in overtime. And the other part of that equation is there are no givens in the passing game, which Jason has alluded to in the last few weeks.
No, and that's the one thing that people have to understand. You're going to have all these analytics guys get in here and talk about it's 52% success rate, and that makes it 65 with a chance to win, all these nonsensical numbers. What was going on during the course of the game at that time? Zeke had 9 runs for 0 or negative yards of his 20 carries. You mentioned the 13 that went for 0. You just got stuffed on 3rd down and lost a yard on 3rd down. So do you really have the confidence to do that? Your defense is playing well. You punt it down. I understand the decision. I also understand the other side, but you got to look at that. Doug Peterson's great at it, right? Everybody loves Doug Peterson. There's times that he doesn't do things because it's his gut, and I think Jason went with his gut on that one.
I think Barry Switzer would have done
it. Barry Switzer
he'd done it twice.
These guys.
Got to stop and we'll do it again.
Doug Peterson has a better team than we have right now. I'm not saying that by the end of the season we can't catch up a little bit, but you got to have the players to do that. And our offensive line, sadly to say, is struggling.
I don't see a receiver emerging like DeAndre Hopkins, so that's a bit of a stretch for me.
And Jerry made the comments about the true number 1 receivers. He only sees a handful of them around the league. But the pass game's got to figure something out, and they got to do it quickly against this Jacksonville team this week.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, how hard is that going to be? A.J. Boye, Jalen Ramsey. I mean, you talk about a secondary that's going to come in with a lot of swagger, not feel threatened at all. I don't know how this group is going to be effective in this game. And there's going to be 9 guys.
And you got Barry Church coming back home. He's going to be lurking around that line looking to make a big hit or to make a big play.
You know, speaking of coming back home, Jacksonville started 3 former Cowboys last week. and they got an FC Dallas kicker.
There you go.
Wow.
The nugget pulled out from Rick Gosselin to get us started here on Cowboys Insider. And when we come back, we take a look at that Dallas defense, which did have its moments in Houston on Sunday night, including that guy.
Cowboys Insider, presented by Baylor Scott & White, is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T, more for your thing, that's our thing. And by Baylor Scott & White, changing healthcare for the better. This segment is brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Cowboys and Jaguars this week at AT&T Stadium. It's a 3:25 kickoff on Sunday. As we take a look back also at the Cowboys falling to Houston on Sunday night down at NRG Stadium, 19-16 in overtime. Deshaun Watson had his moments, passing for 375 yards, had another 40 yards rushing for the Texans on Sunday night. But the Dallas defense stiffened when it needed to on the goal line especially. And let's start with Jalen Smith. Made a great play on the goal line, stopping Deshaun Watson to end the first half, and probably had his best game as a Cowboys linebacker.
Yeah, I think both he and Van Der Esch, their best games together. They're really starting to get a good chemistry inside. They're great inside out, sideline to sideline, making plays. So once they got into the red zone, that field shrinks down, and now it's really kind of that horizontal play. There's two pretty tough guys in that area of the field.
That's where instinct and speed plays a lot, and that's what Jalen got. Jalen got that natural instinct, and man, when he see it, he goes and gets. But Jeff Heath laid a hit on Deshaun Watson, man. They gonna tell us something, spleen or something, or rib or something.
The rest of the game for sure.
And I think that's what made Coach did what he did too, because he probably thought this kid wasn't gonna last in Deshaun Watson the way our defense hit. But from 20 to 20, we got to tackle better. We have to tackle much better.
Yeah, my one concern is, as good as this defense has played in each of the last two games, when they needed to stop on a drive, the Lions went right down the field and the Texans went right down the field. That's my only concern with this defense.
Yep, and of course, Sean Lee missed his second straight game. Probably doubtful that he would play this week against Jacksonville as well. Then you're looking at the Redskins in an off week. We'll see when Sean Lee gets back. But with the development of Leighton Vander Esch, the rookie, in there, that makes for a promising future, whether it's later this season or on down the road as far as his linebacking crew goes.
Yeah, the beginning of the year, we talked about the measurables and the things that he brought to the table as an athlete. Now you have to see how that transfers onto the field, and so far it's been a really nice progression here through the first 5 weeks of the season. So I think by the end of the year, when you see him in December, he's not going to look anything like he did in September.
He's 6'4", 250, man, can run, cover real well, got to bang him. He just got to bring a little more thump. And I think as he understands the defense better and learn where he really fits, and that's when I think you'll see bigger plays from him.
You know, what's interesting about this week's game, there were two linebackers in that draft that had injuries. They both went in the second round. Miles Jack went to Jacksonville, and Jalen Smith here. And Miles Jack came back. He is now a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker. He's their second leading tackler, returned an interception for a touchdown. He is to the Jacksonville defense what Jalen Smith is to the Cowboy defense.
They were both early second-round draft picks in that draft. All right, let's hear from Tyrone Crawford, our Academy Sports and Outdoors Sound of the Week.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we did a really good job, down in the red zone and the goal line. We bowed up and, we handled business. We kept them to a field goal most times, and, I feel like we did good with that. We definitely got to, do better and not let them get downfield as much. But, for the most part, I think we did pretty good.
Tyrone Crawford played well in those goal line situations, especially to end the first half. I love Antoine Woods when Deshaun Watson got under center. Pre-snap, he motions to Tyrone to fill that gap, I mean, it really showed. And he also showed his speed getting to the sideline on the Watson 4th and 1 run as well. The defensive line stopping the run did a good job in the game too.
Absolutely, the defense has played well this season, and just to have to understand that complementary aspect of this game. Right now, the offense is not playing well. The defense, like Tyrone said. Not only do we have to be good in the red zone, we can't even let them get down there. We've got to do a better job, out from 30 to 30. Right now, the offense is struggling. The defense is going to have to carry this team.
And the amazing thing, they're there to make the play. It's one thing if you're not there, if the guy's running wide open, but they're there to make the play. Just got to wrap up. Just got to bring a meanness to the game. But just want I ain't gonna say hurt people, but get them on the ground.
Here's the one positive thing about the pass rush this week. In 2 home games, they've got 9 sacks against pocket passers. In 3 road games, they've got 6 sacks against mobile quarterbacks. They're home. They got a pocket passer this week.
Yep, and Blake Bortles turned it over last week in Kansas City.
A lot.
And that's the one thing Kansas City's not known for is their defense. In fact, they got a pick 6 from the big defensive tackle Chris Jones as well. We continue here on Cowboys Insider and take an up-close look at Blake Bortles and those Jacksonville Jaguars when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage. This segment is brought to you by DraftKings, because you don't just want to watch, you want to play.
Cowboys try to get back to 500 on the season when they take on Jacksonville at 3:25 on Sunday afternoon at AT&T Stadium. Welcome back to Cowboys Insider, and let's take a look at these Jaguars, known for their defense. Let's start with their offense, though. And Blake Bortles was good enough to get them to the AFC Championship game last year, where they lost to New England. What do you see out of Blake Bortles these days?
He's what Forrest Gump would call a box of chocolates. I don't know what you're going to get with Bortles. I mean, I've seen him have a terrible day, and I've seen him have just an unbelievable day. We had him twice last year. He tore apart Seattle. He is so up and down. If he gets on a roll early in that game and he feels it, you're going to have a tough day. So you got to get to him and impact him, affect him in that pocket.
And if you do impact him, man, he ain't scared to run. He'll take off and run, and he'll make some moves. But I'm with you, man. What, he got 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He is a box of chocolates now. I agree with you 100%.
Now, this team has a talent to be 5-0, but they're 3-2. The big reason they're 3-2 is they lead the league with 12 giveaways. And here's a Cowboy defense that can't get turnovers. This is the chance to have an impact on a game against the Jaguars.
And they've had some injury issues on offense, most notably losing Marquise Lee, their best receiver. Leonard Fournette has been out. TJ Yeldon will get the majority of snaps. In fact, he got 77 snaps against Kansas City last week and had his best outing of the season, probably.
Yeah, and don't forget about Corey Grant. Corey Grant went down this week as well, and he's one of those little gadget guys in the backfield. I thought he was great in the playoffs last year for Jacksonville. So they're catching a beat-up team. They've just got to take advantage. Use your matchups when you've got a backup in that spot.
And the left tackle's missing.
Yep,
he's out for the season, so that'll help the Cowboys pass rush.
Yeldon, don't underestimate this kid. He can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. He can block on third downs, and he's a nifty runner. So don't underestimate this kid.
They brought in Jamal Charles.
Yep,
I don't know where he's at right now. He's been kind of waiting for his turn, but boy, he's a pretty unique athlete.
All right, how about defensively for Jacksonville? We think about Jalen Ramsey because he makes you think about him with what he says and how he plays on the field, too.
Yeah, I mean, 2 great corners, but I think Nate makes a great point. Barry Church is coming home. That may be the one in the back end that's more excited than anybody to play here.
I just believe that our receivers have to find a way to make a play for this quarterback. Because as time go on, if things don't go well, it's going to come down to 2 people. That's our head coach and our quarterback. Y'all have to make plays for the quarterback wide receivers.
Yeah, Tyler Patman, remember him? He started for Jacksonville last week. He's a guy that in 2014 here had an interception for a touchdown in the preseason, had an interception for a touchdown in the regular season. Now he's playing for the Jaguars.
Right, the former Cowboys coming here, Barry Church, Tyler Patman, Jeremy Parnell, the starting right tackle. And the linebacking core. You touched on Miles Jack. I've loved Telvin Smith ever since
he's the best linebacker on the team, and he's a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker. That front and these linebackers are very much like the Dallas front, except this team led the league in sacks last year, and the Cowboys are still trying to get to that point.
What has Calais Campbell meant to that Jacksonville team since they acquired him?
I mean, just the leadership. Sometimes it's not the production on the field, it's the leadership as a veteran coming in, the work from Wednesday to Saturday, getting ready for a Sunday game. I think it's been unbelievable for that young group of guys down there, and I think they're all feeding off it. And yet they're getting great production from him at that stage. It's not just the leadership, but also he's putting up some great stats.
He will not be moved. If he decides versus the run that he don't want to be moved, he will stick them long arms out there, and that's end of story. And we know he's a pass rusher.
And I'll tell you what, Marcel Darius, he ain't going to be moved. Malik Jackson, he's not going to be moved either. So it's going to be a real challenge for Zeke this week.
They're up against the immovable object this week, it sounds like. All right, when we continue here on Cowboys Insider, we take a look around the NFC East. We got a matchup on Thursday night, Eli and the Giants against Carson and the Eagles.
This segment was brought to you by DraftKings, because you don't just want to watch, you want to play.
Welcome back to Cowboys Insider. Time to go around the league. It's brought to you by Auto Nation, and the NFL weekend, as usual, gets started on Thursday night. We've got an NFC East matchup, all jumbled up in the NFC East as the Redskins lead at 2-2. Cowboys tied with the Eagles at 2-3, and then the Giants at 1-4. And you got the Giants and the Eagles on Thursday night. What do you make of this one, Daryl?
Philadelphia is in a tough spot as well. More injuries. Ajayi's out. Is Sproles going to be back? So their running back positions hit a little bit hard. They haven't been able to grow together. Carson Wentz is back in the lineup, but he hasn't had an opportunity to play with these guys yet because everybody's been hurt. I don't know what's going on with the Giants. I'm shocked. This is the second year in a row that they've just...
Yeah, you do.
No, this year was different. I thought Shermer was going to get it turned around.
He is a great coach, I think, a great offensive mind, but it's still the same old offensive mind. I thought by going out getting Nate Soldier and drafting Hernandez from El Paso, I thought they would make that line strong, brother.
They cut Eric Flowers.
Yeah, they got rid of the turnstile.
I mean, it took them 2 years, but hey, we know what's wrong with the Giants. O-line.
And Eli has no confidence in this line.
No, none
It's
at all.
amazing that Barkley can run it all. What the offensive line is the ongoing problem with that team, and it'll be a problem again Thursday night.
All right, and then your NFC East leading Washington Redskins, coming off a 43-19 loss to the Saints on Monday night, take on a Carolina team. The Panthers are 3-1. Washington got a shot against Carolina.
No, they don't. No, they don't. That defense is playing well. As long as you got North Turner and Cam halfway listen to him, they're going to be all right. I promise. I mean, hey, it is what it is, my friend.
And you see that the Redskins, their sellout streak is long gone. There's a lot of empty seats there, and they got to be asking themselves, why did we get rid of Kirk Cousins again?
Yes, yes.
I'll never understand that. I will never understand why they never embraced him.
All right, everyone's going to embrace the Sunday night matchup this week. It's Kansas City against New England. You couldn't draw it up any better than that. New England, quote-unquote, back on track, as if they were ever off track with 2 wins the last couple of weeks. So it's Tom Brady against the young hotshot Patrick Mahomes.
Well, this is a matchup that Kansas City has always performed well in, and it's usually been the running game. So we'll see what they do now with Mahomes being the featured guy here in this offense this year and how that works out.
Belichick always take away your strongest weapon. Who's their strongest weapon? KC. Who do you take out of the game?
Travis Kelce, tight end. You take the tight end out. He's the go-to guy.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, bet the over. Bet the over.
Tyreek.
We'll see.
Bet the over. It's going to be a lot of points in this one.
Hey, Belichick's had to get 10 days to prepare for this Kansas City team, too. They played on Thursday.
He always needs 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But Nate came in here all excited about the young quarterbacks in this league, and Mahomes leads the parade.
Oh, man, they are great. I mean, he's just Baker Mayfield, Mahomes, Goff. You just go down the list, man. Deshaun Watson, they are there, and they are coming.
It's such an important position, and the league knows it. That's why all these rule changes are put in place so they don't get hurt, because that's what makes the game as exciting as the points. Is this the best that the NFL has been with a new group of guys coming in?
I think over the last, 10 or 12 years, we haven't had this impact. We got Breeze and all that group and Tom.
Breeze,
but
Brady, Manning.
How many years they've been in the league? At least 10 years. So for 10 years, it's been a lull. I think this last 3 years of guys has been just sensational.
Because now Matt Ryan and Roethlisberger used to be the young guys. Now those guys are in their 30s, and boy, this may be the best young wave we've seen in this league in a couple decades.
Yep.
They can spin
it's the 80s with Elway and Marino coming in.
That was a pretty good class.
All right.
That was my class.
Nate, I forgot about Nate.
I need a gold jacket just coming in with
And Babe also. Babe came in with that group, too. All right, our final thoughts and a key to a Cowboys victory over Jacksonville when we come back.
Cowboys Insider, presented by Baylor Scott & White, was brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. Baylor Scott & White, changing healthcare for the better. And and by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
Final couple of minutes here of Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios here at the Star as we get you set for Cowboys and Jaguars, 3:25 Sunday afternoon at AT&T Stadium. Time to go around the horn with some final thoughts and maybe a key to a Cowboys victory. What needs to happen for Dallas to emerge victorious? Daryl, let's start with you.
Get out of your comfort zone. You're not going to be able to go in and slug it out with this team. So you got to do some things differently. You've got to open up your formations. You know, let these guys fail on the outside if that's what it's going to be. But you are not going to line up and knock Jacksonville off the line of scrimmage and run the football and open up the back end. Be a little bit aggressive in special teams. Just do something different. Just get out of your comfort zone.
I remember we went into Washington, RFK. You was there, Moose. And Jimmy said we got to hit the gorilla with everything we got. We hit him with an onside kick. We did everything. We gave them their one loss that season. Let's find a way. I'm with Moose. Get outside the box. Onside kick, triple reverse. I don't care what you do. You need to win this game.
And clearly Prescott is not comfortable throwing out of the pocket. I'd get him out of the pocket. And the big plays for this offense happen when Prescott's on the move. Get him on the move. Bootleg right, bootleg left. Get him moving and get the receivers. Let him clear some space downfield.
All right, that does it for Cowboys Insider. We'll see you again next week when the Cowboys take on the Redskins.